What is going on, ladies and gents? Once again, Michael or Legacy Kill HD back today with another Elder Scrolls 6 video for you. Today we're going to be concentrating on 10 things that I think will be needed in the Elder Scrolls 6. So make sure you guys dive into the comments below, get interactive, let me know what you think needs to be in the Elder Scrolls 6. There's so many different things and I'm sure I won't cover everybody's, but I'm going to do my best to cover some of the more important ones. Anyway guys, let's get down to this. At the 10 spot we have the return of the Mages Guild and the Fighters Guild. The big thing was in Skyrim that I really recognized was that we had like a little bit of placement for them. Obviously we had the College of Winterhold for the mages, and then for the Fighters Guild it was just pretty much said that they weren't in Skyrim. We had the companions, which were kind of like a substitute, and then with the mages they were pretty much dissolved after the Oblivion Crisis, and I guess mages were blamed for the events that happened. At least that's what's speculated, but either way, just not having these guilds pretty much in Skyrim really did feel unfortunate, and I really just hope that somehow they get a return. I know the Fighters Guild, I'm pretty sure that we're going to be getting that, but with the Mages Guild, I think we're probably going to be getting something similar, but hopefully it's a little bit better than what we got with the College of Winterhold, and hopefully this time around maybe we get mysticism back, that skill set. I mean, I get that they brought that in different types of ways into Skyrim, it just didn't feel as fun as what it was in Oblivion and Morrowind. But even better would be a Psijic Order return, an ancient order of mages, which is what the Mages Guild actually came from. They had an interesting role in the College of Winterhold storyline in Skyrim, pretty much serving as overseers and stopping the disaster of the Eye of Magnus from happening. And they carry some very unique magic like mysticism, also being able to stop time just to talk to our character and our character only. But nonetheless, these are just some of the factions that would be awesome to see in the Elder Scrolls 6, and we'll be talking about a lot of them in the next coming weeks. At the 9th spot we have a unique main character. I've seen through a lot of forums there's quite a bit of gamers that want to see a Dragonborn again. Unfortunately, that's really extremely unlikely, and this time around we will have a unique, different character. It is disappointing we won't have Shouts again, but I think Bethesda can substitute and create a new character in which maybe they carry similar powers. I've already theorized in the past we get a Shezarine, who is an influential and sometimes godlike figure who is believed to be a mortal incarnation of the missing god Lorkhan, or one of his aspects. They are considered to be the greatest champions of humankind, often appearing to defend their people against elven aggressors, which would make sense if the next Elder Scrolls game has the Eldmeri Dominion as the main antagonist, but I personally feel like the next character's journey we follow will be something different than what we've played as before. At the 8th spot we have a new environment. Skyrim's environment of being snowy and darker, it fit its tone and the story of the game, which really did go well, but this time around I want to explore something a little bit more different. So we have Elsweyr, which is a desert-like with rocky canyons environment or a province. Either way, I do like what Elsweyr is, I just don't know if it could fit for a main story and a main game, which I think it would be more likely if they put it together with Valenwood, which Valenwood is actually a largely uninhabited forest wilderness, which I think would be the more likely setting for Elder Scrolls 6. And we also, I gotta mention this, Black Marsh, which is the swampland rainforest for the Argonians. I think that one's also a likely environment which would be intriguing to go through. I think there's just so much different types of content that you could throw in there. I know that with Skyrim, you know, you had different types of ruins that you could go through, and it was always really gloomy going into kind of, I guess you could say, scary in a lot of senses, you know, not knowing what to expect. But this time around, maybe they can make different types of environments with different types of tones. It doesn't always have to be that scary or gloomy type of setting. But either way guys, let's get down to that number 7 spot with bigger cities. One thing I really did like about The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt was their cities, mainly Novigrad, which was full with, I guess, excitement. There was all kinds of different things going on, just from having priests talking to people or having non-playable characters walking around. It felt alive, and that's what I didn't feel with Skyrim. Going through Whiterun, it just felt dead, you know, there was like, felt like there was maybe 15 to 20 non-playable characters, and it just didn't feel alive, you know. I felt like all the towns were pretty dead, and I hope in the next Elder Scrolls games, if it doesn't necessarily have to be a certain race, but you know, having Khajiit or having Argonians or having Bosmer, whoever it is, I hope that their towns or their villages are full with excitement and different types of things going on. You know, that's what I also felt with Fallout 4. It felt empty, at least in some places. I'll give some props with Diamond City. At least in some aspects, Diamond City felt a lot more alive than some places like going into the Protagonist, which pretty much just felt dead and repetitive non-stop, which I feel like it really brought down the user experience with that. And I feel like if you have non-playable characters around you that are actually doing things, it really makes the experience of playing these games a lot better. So to the 6th spot we have bigger battles. One thing that the Elder Scrolls series has not conquered is battles. It feels like in a lot of their games, going from Oblivion in Skyrim, it just felt like there wasn't many battles going on or much war. You know, I get that the center conflict, or at least one of the conflicts in Skyrim, was the Stormcloaks versus the Imperials, and there really wasn't any battles. I know that there was some moments where you actually, you know, battled against the Stormcloaks, or I guess vice versa. Either way, it just felt like you weren't actually battling against each other. There was these many little battles going on, and I guess eventually you conquer one of the cities, and it felt incomplete in a lot of ways. I mean, I don't think we need to have like a medieval type of thing where we line up in thousands of soldiers, but either way, I want it to be something a lot bigger, you know? It shouldn't feel like this is just a village going against another village. I think I used that word battles a little too much. Either way, my point is that, you know, war is something that they really need to work on, and I hope that it's something that they take on in the next Elder Scrolls title. But to the number 5 spot, we have a no voice actor protagonist. One of the biggest issues I had with Fallout 4 was actually that our character had voice acting, you know. It really took away from the role-playing experience and imagining what my character should be like, and in the Elder Scrolls I just don't see at all how this could fit. I mean, there's all kinds of different types of races, and I just don't see them making different types of voice actors for different types of races with the thousands of lines that would be needed, maybe even the hundreds of thousands of lines needed. But either way, my point is it would also take away from the experience, because I think we all imagine our character in a different way, and having somebody talk for us, I think it really gets us out of that role-playing element in a lot of ways. But you could also disagree to agree on that. I think that's something that you could put up a lot of discussion on. But as far as what I've seen throughout the community, there's a lot of people saying, no, we should not get this in the next Elder Scrolls game. We saw how it was in Fallout, and it's a no-no. But to the 4th spot, we have gameplay or combat improvement. One of my biggest things about Elder Scrolls is that I play with a lot of combat. I like to battle in swords and crossbows and so on. I know a lot of players like to be mages in their own ways, but myself, I like to have hand-to-hand combat, and that's one of the biggest, funnest aspects I have with it. But when I played The Witcher, I feel like the combat just felt so much more immersive and so much more fluid, and I hope that the Elder Scrolls gets a little bit more better on that aspect, and I hope that the gameplay feels a little bit more funner to, you know, go against other different types of enemies, and it doesn't feel like this is really just getting repetitive and boring, having to fight this guy nonstop and take different types of potions of healing. I just want it to be something where, you know, it's actually fun to go against some of these bigger bosses or bigger enemies. But to the number 3 spot, we have a better narrative, a better main story, and more branching quests. Surprisingly enough, there's a lot of gamers out there that did not like Skyrim's plot. Personally, myself, I actually did like it. I feel like it was a downgrade from what Oblivion was, but although I feel like it was a great plot, you know, I think Elder Scrolls games really do strive on that narrative, going away from the gameplay, as I talked about before. I feel like the narrative really is the overpowering element of all these Elder Scrolls or even Fallout games. So, with the Elder Scrolls 6, I've already theorized, I've already said that I personally think there will be an Imperial versus Thalmor Great War II main plot. Although, obviously guys, that's more of an opinion, but if you want to see that video I actually discussed, I had some evidence, you guys may want to check the link that's on the screen. But either way, I really do hope that the next narrative, their next main quest, is a lot longer. You know, I feel like in every Bethesda Game Studios title, the main story isn't as long as how it should be. You know, I get that they jam-pack it with a lot of side quests, but I just don't want a narrative that's rushed, you know? I feel like in Fallout 4, it was pretty much, oh yeah, since we hate them, Brotherhood of Steel, let's attack them, kill them, here we go. You know, some type of development in a lot of ways, developing these characters, maybe their hatred or our love for them would be a lot of fun. You know, with The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, you know, I got to, over time, I guess, create a relation with these characters and figure out how I feel towards them. With I guess some of these Elder Scrolls games, it's pretty much forced upon you. You pretty much have to make that fast choice. Do you like these people or not? I mean, I think there's some room to take some time and pretty much extend on this narrative. Now down to the number 2 spot, we have a non-buggy release. One of the biggest problems I've had with Bethesda Game Studios titles is buggy releases and missing out on a lot of content. One of the biggest problems I actually have currently with Fallout 4 is the bugginess, you know? It feels like I've lost hours on content just because of random errors with missing quests, missing characters, a lot of problems. I mean, Nick Valentine, I lost him for about 6 months, just recently found him because of mod support, fortunately, for Xbox One. And then you go back to some of the other types of things, getting stuck in elevators, having discussions with characters not go on, or it gets repetitive and it doesn't continue on, which, there you go, the bugginess. It just, I don't get how they get past these beta testers or the people who test these games and they don't find these. There was just way too many errors that came out with Fallout 4, and it feels like it's just something that happens with every Elder Scrolls or every Fallout game that comes. And I hope that this time around they take some more time, you know, polishing these games and going through and seeing, wow, we have a lot of problems. We need to make sure we fix this before we actually release it. Because I don't think a lot of people like playing 5-6 hours in and then you find out that the game's not going to save. Now guys, down to that number 1 spot, one of the biggest things I think needs improvement is the engine. This is really a must. I don't think they necessarily need a new engine. A lot of people are saying, yeah, they have to have a new engine. This game's a mess. It's just not going to work. But personally, I feel like it just needs to be improved in a lot of aspects, you know. This goes back to some of my wishes for bigger battles and more NPCs, and I think it's only going to be possible for the engine improving. They've already gone from the Gamebryo engine, which they improved to make the Creation engine, which was used in Skyrim and Fallout 4. And in Fallout 4, it fell in a lot of different types of ways. A lot of people felt like it was just jam-packed, and it felt like there was a lot of things that are missing in the game. And this goes back to like having fucking loading screens, sorry for my language, but loading screens non-stop going wherever I go. I feel like I have another loading screen, and I think it's time. I mean, if we're gonna get some better improvements on non-playable characters, cities, battles, gameplay, magic, and some of the other types of, I guess, upgrades in the game, I think it's only going to happen if we upgrade from the Creation engine. And let me know in the comment section, guys, do you think we need a new engine completely, or do you think they should just keep on improving off of the Gamebryo engine, going from the Creation engine to whatever they have next? But anyway, guys, that's just my thoughts on 10 aspects of the Elder Scrolls 6 I feel like are needed. Make sure you guys dive into the comment section. Let me know what your top 10 is, because I know your top 10 is probably going to differ completely from mine. But I want to thank you so much for watching. Make sure you smack that like button and subscribe, and a lot more Elder Scrolls 6 videos to come, and I'll see you later.